The forbidden glance. The air inside the Velari outpost was thick with humidity, a result of their need for a warm, moisture-rich atmosphere. Ryan Carter wiped the sweat off his brow as he adjusted the toolkit on his belt. His task was simple: fix the malfunctioning ventilation system in this sector and leave. He had done repairs in alien stations before, but this was his first time inside a Velari noble's residence. The Velari were a mysterious, highly traditional species, with smooth bioluminescent skin that shimmered in the dim lighting. Their customs were strict, their laws absolute, and Ryan had been warned to follow their rules carefully. One mistake could lead to serious trouble. As he checked the blueprints on his wrist tablet, he frowned. The map showed an air duct opening inside a restricted chamber, one that he was strictly forbidden to enter. He groaned. "Great," he muttered. "Why does it always have to be the most difficult spot?" The alternative was dismantling half the ventilation system, which would take days. Instead, he made a quick decision. He would step in, make the repair, and leave before anyone noticed. Ryan approached the door and pressed a button on his communicator. "Control, this is Carter. I'm going into Chamber 07 for emergency maintenance. Shouldn't take more than 5 minutes." There was a brief pause before the response came. "Chamber 07. Are you sure?" "That's..." The transmission cut off abruptly. Ryan tapped the communicator again, but all he got was static. "Must be interference," he muttered. He took a deep breath and pushed open the door. A moment of silence, a moment of shock. The room was darker than the rest of the outpost, with walls made of smooth blue crystal that reflected faint light. The temperature was warmer, and a soft floral scent filled the air. Ryan's eyes landed on a tall figure standing near the center of the chamber. It was a Velari woman. No, not just any Velari. Princess Silara. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed a soft pink, the sign of shock and disbelief. Her large violet eyes locked onto Ryan as time seemed to freeze. The worst part, she wasn't wearing anything. A thin silk robe, meant only for private relaxation, barely covered her slender figure. Her smooth silver blue skin shimmered in the dim glow of the chamber. For a second, neither of them moved. Ryan's brain screamed at him to look away, leave, apologize, anything. But his legs refused to move. The silence shattered like glass. Silara's markings flashed bright red, a sign of extreme distress. "You," her voice trembled. "You dare look upon me in this state?" Ryan raised his hands, palms up in surrender. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I was just..." A loud alarm blared, vibrating through the chamber walls. Ryan's stomach dropped. That's not good. Guards incoming. Heavy footsteps thundered in the hallway. Ryan turned toward the exit, but the doors slammed shut, locking him inside. No. This is a misunderstanding," he said quickly. Silara's face was pale, her breathing fast. She pressed a glowing panel on the wall, speaking urgently in Velari, her voice sharp and commanding. The doors flew open, and 5 royal guards stormed in, weapons raised. Ryan froze. The lead guard, a towering figure in silver armor, pointed a plasma spear at his chest. "Intruder." "Wait." Ryan raised his hands again. "This is not what it looks like." Silara's markings flickered between red and blue, a mix of anger and uncertainty. She turned to the guards, her voice tense but steady. "He saw me. Undressed." A sharp inhale rippled through the guards. One even stumbled backward. Ryan frowned. "Okay, I get that this is a problem, but let's not overreact." The guard commander snarled, gripping his spear. "Human, you do not understand what you have done." Silara swallowed hard, then turned back to Ryan, her eyes dark with something between rage and despair. "In my culture," she said slowly, voice cold as steel, "a noblewoman seen unclothed by an outsider has only 2 options. exile and death, or marriage. Ryan's brain short-circuited. Excuse me. Silara took a slow, shuddering breath. By our laws, you and I must be wed. Ryan Carter's worst day just got worse. His heart stopped. The guards tightened their grip on their weapons. Silara's eyes held a silent warning, protest, and he would not leave this room alive. Ryan let out a slow exhale, rubbing his forehead. Well, he muttered, this is gonna be a problem. An unwanted bond. Ryan Carter had faced a lot of strange situations in his life. Hostile alien engineers, exploding machinery, and even a near-death experience with a malfunctioning gravity stabilizer. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to this. Standing in the middle of a Velari courtroom, surrounded by stern-faced alien judges, shimmering ceremonial banners, and dozens of watching nobles, he was on trial for seeing a woman undressed. And not just any woman, Princess Silara, a noble of high standing, heir to one of the oldest bloodlines in Velari history. The only way out of this mess: marry her or die. Ryan shifted uncomfortably as the massive Velari judge, an elder with deep golden markings on his translucent blue skin, stared down at him from an elevated throne-like seat. The elder's piercing eyes locked onto Ryan like a predator watching prey. Human. The elder's voice echoed through the grand hall. You have violated a sacred law. In our culture, a noble woman's honor is absolute. By seeing Princess Silara in a state of undress, you have committed an act that can never be undone. Ryan exhaled sharply. Look, I didn't mean to. I was just fixing the ventilation system. The reason does not matter. The elder cut him off, his voice like thunder. Ryan clenched his fists. This was insane. Silara stood beside him, her face impassive, though he could sense the tension in her stance. Her hands were clenched so tightly at her sides that her knuckles had turned white. Ryan stole a glance at her. He didn't know much about Velari expressions, but he could tell she was just as trapped in this situation as he was. Still, she hadn't protested. She hadn't fought the ruling. That bothered him. The elder continued, the punishment for such an act is exile and execution, unless the violated noble accepts the only other lawful alternative, bonded union. A low murmur spread through the hall. Nobles in the audience exchanged hushed whispers, their glowing eyes darting between Ryan and Silara. Ryan sighed. So, this bonded union means we get married, right? The elder's gaze sharpened. Not merely married, human. You will be life-bonded to Princess Silara in the sacred rite. From this moment forward, your fates will be intertwined. If she is harmed, you will feel it. If she dies, so will you. Ryan's stomach dropped. Whoa, hold on. Nobody told me about this. If she dies, I die part. Velari bonding is absolute. A noble's honor is bound to their partner. There is no breaking of this vow, no annulment, no escape. It is eternal. Ryan turned to Silara. You knew this. She didn't meet his eyes. It is the law, she said quietly. Ryan ran a hand down his face. You've got to be kidding me. This wasn't just a forced marriage. This was a death contract. The sacred ritual. Before Ryan could process what was happening, the courtroom transformed. Walls shimmered as ceremonial symbols appeared on the marble-like floors. Golden light filled the air, and a deep humming sound vibrated through Ryan's chest. Silara took a step forward, her expression finally breaking into something that resembled unease. A Velari priest, draped in flowing robes of silver and blue, approached them. He held a small crystalline dagger and a golden chalice filled with a glowing liquid. Ryan didn't like where this was going. The priest spoke in a melodic, almost hypnotic voice. The bond is sealed with blood and essence. Both must accept the link, or the ritual will claim them both. Ryan's heart pounded. Hold on, claim us both. What does that mean? If either of you resist, the bond will shatter. And when a sacred bond is broken, The priest's glowing eyes narrowed. Those who reject it do not survive. Ryan stared at Silara. Are you seriously telling me that if I refuse, I die? Silara finally met his gaze. Her eyes, deep violet and shimmering, held a mix of frustration, regret, and something else. Resignation. You will not be the only one, she murmured. Ryan swallowed hard. No way out. No choices. He had to do this. The binding. Silara stepped forward first. She took the ceremonial dagger from the priest and pressed it against her palm. A thin line of glowing blue blood trickled into the chalice. She passed the dagger to Ryan. He hesitated. This is ridiculous, he muttered. But there was no way out. He took the dagger, inhaled sharply, and cut his palm. His own red blood mixed with hers inside the chalice. The priest raised the chalice between them. You must drink together. One bond, one fate. Silara took it first, her lips pressing against the rim. She passed it to Ryan. He stared at the liquid. Was this how he was going to spend the rest of his life? Bound to an alien princess in a marriage he never wanted, caught in some ancient tradition that made no sense. He sighed. Well, it was better than dying. Ryan tilted the chalice and drank. The change begins. The moment the liquid hit his tongue, something exploded inside him. A rush of heat, like fire racing through his veins. His vision blurred, and for a brief moment, he felt Silara's emotions inside his own mind. Shock, regret, sadness. Then a strange warmth. His knees nearly buckled, but Silara reached out and steadied him. She gasped softly. She felt it too. The priest nodded. It is done. You are bonded, now and forever. The room erupted in cheers and whispers. Ryan could barely breathe. His heartbeat felt different. His whole body felt different. Silara's expression was haunted, as if she realized the same thing. They weren't just married. They were connected. For life. A dangerous conspiracy. Ryan Carter had always thought of marriage as something two people chose willingly, not something decided by a bunch of glowing aliens in a courtroom. But here he was, bonded for life to Princess Silara, an alien noble from a race he barely understood. And now, there was a new problem. Someone wanted them dead. The first attack. Ryan's head still ached from the bonding ritual. He sat in his new quarters, a lavish chamber inside the Velari royal palace, complete with floating furniture, glowing crystal walls, and a strange bed that felt like it was alive. He wasn't alone. Silara stood near the window, her arms crossed, her expression unreadable. You're angry, Ryan muttered. She turned, her violet eyes narrowing. Angry does not begin to describe it. Look, I didn't exactly plan to be your husband either. Her bioluminescent markings flickered in frustration. You have no idea what this bond means to me, to my people. Ryan sighed. You think I wanted this. 1 second, I'm fixing a ventilation system. And the next, I'm magically bound to a woman I don't even know. Silara didn't respond. He studied her, noting the tension in her stance. It wasn't just anger, it was fear. That's when the lights flickered. Silara's head snapped up. Did you feel that? Ryan frowned. Feel what? And then the walls exploded. A surge of energy ripped through the room, shattering the crystal-like windows. Ryan was thrown backward, crashing against the floor. His ears rang, and smoke filled the air. Through the haze, he saw figures emerging from the dust. Velari warriors clad in black armor, their faces hidden behind sleek, curved helmets. Assassins. Silara reacted instantly. Her markings flared bright gold as she raised her hands. A pulse of energy shot from her palms, slamming into the nearest attacker and sending him flying into the wall. Ryan barely had time to move before another warrior lunged at him, a blade humming with energy swinging toward his throat. He rolled, barely dodging the strike. His mind screamed at him. He wasn't a fighter. He was an engineer. But survival instinct kicked in. He grabbed a shattered piece of crystal from the floor and jammed it into the attacker's knee. The warrior howled in pain and collapsed. Ryan scrambled up, heart pounding. Another assassin charged at Silara from behind. "Look out!" Silara spun around just in time, catching the attacker's wrist and twisting. There was a sickening snap, and the warrior crumpled. Ryan exhaled sharply. "Okay, remind me never to piss you off." But there was no time for jokes. More assassins were pouring in. They were surrounded. A betrayal from within. "Who the hell are these guys?" Ryan gasped as he ducked another strike. Silara's expression darkened. "I don't know, but they shouldn't have been able to breach the palace defenses." Ryan realized what she meant. Someone had let them in. This wasn't just a random attack. This was an inside job. Silara grabbed his wrist. "We need to move. Now." Ryan nodded. "Lead the way, princess." They raced through the smoke-filled corridors, dodging falling debris as alarms blared through the palace. Villari guards were already engaged in battle with more of the black-armored assassins, their weapons clashing in bursts of light and energy. But something wasn't right. The assassins weren't just targeting Silara. They were going after Ryan too. Why? Ryan wasn't important. He was just some unlucky human caught in Villari politics. Yet every attacker that spotted them focused their attention on him. They wanted him dead. But why? The hidden truth. Silara led him through a hidden corridor, finally stopping inside a sealed chamber. The doors locked behind them, and silence filled the air. Ryan leaned against the wall, panting. "Okay, that was insane. Can someone tell me what the hell is going on?" Silara hesitated, her gaze unreadable. Ryan narrowed his eyes. "You know something, don't you?" She exhaled slowly. "Ryan, the bond we share, it's not just a marriage." He frowned. "Yeah, I got that part when they said I'd die if you die." "No, it's more than that," Silara said. "Villari nobles are rarely bonded to outsiders. When it happens, the bond creates a link, a deep biological connection between both partners." Ryan's heartbeat slowed. "Meaning? What?" Silara hesitated, then spoke the words that changed everything. "Meaning, Ryan, you're no longer just a human." His stomach dropped. "What?" She took a deep breath. "The ritual we performed, it didn't just link our lives. It's changing you. Slowly. Your body, your mind. Everything will begin to adapt to Villari physiology." Ryan's hands clenched into fists. "You mean I'm becoming one of you?" She nodded, her expression serious. "The assassins weren't just after me," she said softly. "They were after you. Because if the transformation is successful, you won't be just a bonded mate." Ryan stared at her, a sinking feeling in his gut. "Then what?" Silara's voice was barely a whisper. "You'll be the first human Villari hybrid in history. And that terrifies a lot of powerful people." Ryan's breath hitched. Now it all made sense. The attacks, the conspiracy, the reason why he was a target. This wasn't just about honor anymore. This was about power. And someone wanted him dead before he could become something new. Learning each other's ways. Ryan Carter had thought waking up married to an alien princess was the worst thing that could happen to him. He was wrong. He wasn't just married to Princess Silara. He was changing. His body, his senses, his very DNA. And someone wanted him dead before they could find out what he was becoming. A strange awakening. Ryan awoke in darkness. For a moment, he thought he was still inside the hidden chamber where Silara had led him after the assassination attempt. But something was wrong. His body felt different, lighter, stronger. The air around him hummed, filled with sensations he had never noticed before. He could hear the distant vibration of energy fields, the subtle hum of lights overhead. He could even feel Silara's heartbeat, steady but fast, like a quiet drum in the background of his mind. Ryan sat up suddenly. What the hell? Silara was already awake, watching him carefully. You're feeling it, aren't you? She said softly. He ran a hand over his face. His skin was still human, mostly. But when he looked at his hands, he noticed something new. Faint, glowing blue veins ran just beneath his skin, pulsating with energy. He jerked back in shock. What is this? Silara didn't look surprised. The bonding ritual is changing you, Ryan. Your body is adapting to Velari physiology. Ryan shook his head. No. I didn't sign up for this. I was supposed to just fix a ventilation system, not turn into an alien. Silara's gaze didn't waver. You knew the bond was permanent, but you didn't know what it truly meant. Ryan took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He wanted to argue, to deny it. But deep down, he knew she was right. His heartbeat was different. His senses were sharper. And worst of all, he could feel Silara's emotions like they were his own. That realization hit him like a freight train. Ryan staggered to his feet. Oh, hell no. You mean I can feel what you feel? Silara sighed. It is part of the bond. The closer we become, the stronger the connection will be. Ryan groaned. Great, just great. So now I'm not just stuck with you. I get to experience your emotions too. Silara crossed her arms, looking annoyed. It goes both ways, human. You think I want to be bombarded by your chaotic thoughts. Ryan was about to retort when suddenly a wave of nausea slammed into him. The room tilted, and he clutched his head, gasping. His vision blurred, shifting between normal sight and something alien, something new. He could see energy. The walls around him glowed faintly with power, tracing the outlines of hidden circuits and conduits. He could see the life force inside Silara, a golden aura pulsing softly beneath her skin. Ryan staggered back, his breath ragged. What the hell is happening to me? Silara's expression softened. Your body is merging with mine, Ryan. You are becoming something new, something neither fully human nor fully Velari. Training begins. Ryan wasn't the type to panic. He had been through enough close calls in his life to know that freaking out wouldn't solve anything. So, after several deep breaths, he straightened up. All right, he muttered. If I'm stuck with this, I might as well learn how to control it. Silara nodded approvingly. Good. Then we begin training. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Training? What, like marriage counseling? Silara shot him a glare. No. You are now a bonded Velari consort. That makes you a target. If you do not learn to fight, you will not survive long. Ryan sighed. And here I was hoping for some breakfast first. She ignored him. Follow me. They left the chamber and entered a vast, hidden training hall, lit by floating blue lanterns. The walls were lined with weapons. Elegant, curved blades, plasma staffs, and something that looked like a whip made of pure energy. Ryan whistled. Well, this is intimidating. Silara picked up two small dagger-like weapons and tossed one to him. He caught it instinctively, and was shocked by how natural it felt in his grip. Silara smirked. Your body is already adjusting. Velari reflexes are stronger than human ones. Ryan twirled the blade experimentally. Huh. Not bad. Don't get cocky, human, Silara said, stepping into a fighting stance. Now let's see if you can keep up. Then she attacked. Ryan barely had time to block her first strike. She moved fast, unnaturally fast, and he barely dodged the next hit. His instincts screamed at him to retreat, but something kicked in. A new sense of awareness, a sharpened reflex that wasn't entirely his own. Silara struck again. This time, Ryan countered without thinking, twisting his body and bringing the blade up. Their weapons clashed, sending a burst of energy into the air. Silara stepped back, her eyes gleaming. Good. You're learning. Ryan exhaled. That's Terrifying. She nodded. And it's only the beginning. The growing connection. As they trained, Ryan began to notice something else. Whenever Solara moved, he could feel the intention behind her actions. He wasn't just fighting her, he was anticipating her. And it wasn't just in combat. Later that night, while they sat in silence, Ryan realized he could sense her emotions more clearly than before. She was frustrated, tired. But beneath all of that, there was something else. A deep loneliness. Ryan hesitated before speaking. You never wanted this bond either, did you? Solara didn't answer at first, but then she sighed. No, I did not. Ryan nodded slowly. Well, guess that makes two of us. For the first time since this whole mess started, Solara smiled. It was small, barely there, but it was real. And Ryan couldn't explain why, but for some reason, it made him feel a little less alone. The truth behind the attacks. Ryan Carter had spent most of his life fixing broken things. Machines, engines, air filtration systems. But this was different. He wasn't just fixing a machine. He was fixing himself, his body, his mind, his entire sense of identity. Because ever since the bonding ritual, he wasn't just human anymore. And someone out there was terrified of what he was becoming. A midnight confrontation. The Velari Palace had quieted after the chaos of the assassination attempt, but Ryan's nerves were still on edge. He sat in the dimly lit training chamber, gripping a small Velari energy dagger in his hands. He had been practicing for hours, learning the feel of it, the weight of it. It still felt foreign, but not as much as it had before. He wasn't sure if that was comforting or terrifying. Footsteps echoed behind him. You should be resting. Solara's voice came softly. Ryan didn't turn. Resting sounds great, but it's kinda hard when people keep trying to kill me. She stepped forward, her bioluminescent markings glowing softly in the dim light. The assassins won't strike again so soon. They failed, and failure among their kind is not easily forgiven. Ryan glanced at her. So you do know who they are? Solara's expression darkened. She hesitated for a moment before sitting beside him. Not exactly, but I have my suspicions. Ryan leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. Okay, princess, let's hear it. Who wants you? And by extension, me dead. Solara exhaled slowly. There are factions within the Velari Empire that fear change. Our traditions have lasted for thousands of years. The idea of a Velari bonding with a human, it shakes the foundation of everything they believe in. Ryan frowned. So this is about racism. They don't like me because I wasn't born with glowing blue veins. Solara shook her head. It's deeper than that. This isn't just about you, Ryan. It's about what you're becoming. Ryan sat up straighter. Right. You mentioned that before. My body is changing. But what does that actually mean? Solara hesitated, then met his gaze. You've noticed it, haven't you? The sharpened senses, the reflexes, the way you can anticipate my movements. That's the beginning. Ryan swallowed hard. He had noticed it. At first, he thought it was just adrenaline, just his body adapting to a high-stress situation. But it was more than that. Your DNA is integrating with Velari traits, Solara continued. The bond isn't just a ceremonial link, it's a biological one. The more time we spend together, the stronger it becomes. Eventually, she trailed off, looking uncertain. Ryan frowned. Eventually what? Solara bit her lip before finally saying, eventually, you might become more Velari than human. Ryan froze. What? Solara turned away. It's never happened before. The few times Velari nobles have bonded with non-Velari, the transformation was limited. But with you, something is different. Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. So you're saying, I might stop being human. Solara's silence was all the answer he needed. The enemy within. Ryan had barely processed what Solara had told him when the door to the training chamber burst open. A Velari guard stumbled inside, his body covered in burn marks and slashes. He collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. Silara rushed to his side. "Veclin, what happened?" The guard coughed, blood trickling down his chin. His eyes, normally glowing gold, were dimming. "Betrayal. Inside the palace," he gasped. Ryan's stomach dropped. Inside the palace. That meant, before he could react, the room erupted in chaos. The walls exploded outward, sending shards of crystal flying. Ryan threw himself over Xilara, shielding her as flames burst through the doorway. Through the smoke, figures emerged. Not just assassins this time. Velari warriors, guards, people who were supposed to be protecting them. Xilara's face hardened. "They're with my cousin." Ryan's mind raced. "Wait, you mean the same cousin who was at our wedding? The one who looked like he wanted to kill me with his eyes?" Xilara nodded grimly. "Prince Vorik. He's been trying to seize power for years, and now he has the perfect excuse, eliminating the human invader before the bond can change the empire forever." Ryan clenched his fists. "Great. So not only do I have to deal with becoming an alien, now I have to worry about a full-on coup." Xilara grabbed his wrist. "No time for jokes. We need to move. The battle begins." The warriors charged. Ryan reacted instantly, surprising even himself. He dodged left, narrowly avoiding a plasma spear aimed at his heart. His body moved faster than it should have, instincts taking over before his brain could catch up. He wasn't thinking. He was fighting. A guard swung a blade at him. Ryan caught the attacker's wrist, twisted, and sent him crashing into the floor. Another lunged at Xilara. She spun gracefully, her energy staff whipping through the air in a blur of golden light. The guard collapsed, unconscious before he even hit the ground. Ryan exhaled sharply. "Okay, I'll admit it. That was kinda hot." Xilara shot him a glare. "Focus, Ryan." More guards poured in. It was 2 against an army. And yet, Ryan wasn't losing. His movements were too fast, too precise. His body was reacting like it had done this 1,000 times before. He could feel the enemies coming before they struck. Xilara noticed it too. Between dodging attacks, she glanced at him. "Ryan, your body is adapting faster than I expected." Ryan barely had time to process her words before another wave of attackers charged at them. This wasn't just an assassination attempt anymore. This was a war. The final stand. Ryan and Xilara fought their way through the palace corridors, cutting down enemies as they went. They were outnumbered, but not outmatched. Somewhere deep in Ryan's mind, something was awakening. A new instinct, a new power growing inside him. Then, just as they reached the main exit, Vorik appeared. Clad in full ceremonial armor, surrounded by his elite guards, he smiled coldly. "Going somewhere, dear cousin." Ryan tightened his grip on his weapon. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about stopping a war before it began. The ultimate betrayal. Ryan Carter had never liked politics. Back on Earth, he avoided debates, ignored election cycles, and focused on fixing things that actually mattered. Machines, engines, starships. But now he was in the middle of a civil war he didn't ask for, bonded to an alien princess he barely knew, and facing down an army led by her own cousin, Prince Vorik. And worst of all, Ryan was starting to realize that he might be the reason this war was happening in the first place. A standoff in the throne hall. The palace had become a battlefield. Velari warriors, both loyalists and rebels, clashed in the grand corridors. The once beautiful crystalline architecture was now cracked and scorched with plasma burns. At the center of it all, in the royal throne hall, stood Ryan and Xilara, weapons drawn, facing Prince Vorik and his elite guards. Vorik, clad in shimmering black ceremonial armor, stood with an air of casual arrogance. His golden eyes glowed with amusement. "You've fought well, cousin," he said smoothly, addressing Xilara. And your human has proven to be quite the surprise. Ryan tightened his grip on his weapon. I get that a lot. Vorik smirked. Oh, I imagine you do. After all, it's not every day that a lowly engineer becomes something more. Ryan froze. He caught Silara's subtle shift. She was on edge. Vorik knew something. Something Ryan didn't. Ryan's pulse quickened. What do you mean by that? Vorik tilted his head. Come now, you must have noticed it. The changes, the strength, the reflexes. He gestured at Ryan's hands. Your very blood is evolving, becoming Velari. Ryan's stomach twisted. Yeah, he'd noticed it. He'd felt it. But hearing it spoken aloud made it feel real. Silara stepped forward, her voice cold. Enough games, Vorik. You led an attack against the royal palace. That is treason. Vorik chuckled. Treason. He gestured around them. Do you not see, dear cousin? Half the nobles support me. They see the truth. The Velari Empire stands on the edge of collapse. Our traditions are failing. And now this. He pointed at Ryan. This abomination threatens to destroy everything. Ryan bristled. Gee, thanks. Feeling real welcome here. Vorik ignored him, focusing on Silara. You should have killed him the moment the bond was forced upon you, but instead, you let it grow. And now, he took a slow step forward. Now he is becoming something new, something that could change our entire species. Silara's fists clenched. Change is not destruction. Vorik. Isn't it? Vorik's voice darkened. Imagine what happens when the other species in the galaxy discover this. A human Velari hybrid. A species that can evolve, adapt, and merge with others. He shook his head. It will lead to war, to chaos. Ryan took a slow breath. So that's what this is about. You're afraid. Vorik's golden eyes flashed. I am prepared. And then he raised his hand. Ryan barely had time to react before an unseen force slammed into him, sending him crashing into a pillar. Pain exploded through his ribs, but he gritted his teeth and forced himself up. Silara's markings flared bright blue as she raised a defensive barrier, blocking another attack from Vorik. Ryan coughed. Okay, that was new. Vorik smiled coldly. You don't even know what you are yet, do you? Ryan scowled. How about you come over here and explain it to me? Vorik's eyes darkened. Gladly. The duel for the future. The hall erupted into chaos. Silara's loyal guards clashed with Vorik's elite warriors, filling the room with the hum of energy weapons and the sound of clashing metal. But Ryan wasn't focused on them. He was focused on Vorik. The prince moved like lightning, faster than any Velari Ryan had fought before. Every strike was precise, controlled. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a master. Ryan barely managed to dodge the first few attacks. His body was reacting faster than his brain, his instincts kicking in before he even knew what was happening. And then, in a blur of movement, Vorik's blade sliced across Ryan's arm. A normal cut. A shallow wound. Except, Ryan didn't bleed red. Instead, faintly glowing blue blood trickled down his skin. Ryan's heart stopped. Silara's breath hitched. Vorik smirked. There it is, he murmured. Proof. Ryan stared at his arm, at the unnatural color of his own blood. His hands trembled. This wasn't just a bond anymore. It wasn't just a link between him and Silara. He was becoming Velari. Vorik took a step forward. You don't understand what you are, human. But I do. And that's why I cannot let you live. A choice that changes everything. Ryan felt the shift before he even understood what it was. His heartbeat slowed. His vision sharpened. He could feel Silara's presence, her emotions, her fear for him, and something else, a hidden power. Something deep inside him awakened. Vorik lunged. And this time, Ryan moved first. He twisted, catching Vorik's strike with his bare hand. Vorik's eyes widened. Ryan felt no pain. His body had adapted. He wasn't just stronger, he was something entirely new. With a single forceful push, Ryan sent Vorik flying across the hall. Silence filled the room. The battle had stopped. The warriors on both sides stared at him in shock. Silara stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. "Ryan, what have you become?" Ryan didn't know the answer. But he knew one thing. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. A warrior's resolve. Ryan Carter had always thought of himself as just an engineer. He fixed things. He didn't fight wars. He didn't lead rebellions. He didn't challenge entire empires. But as he stood in the shattered remains of the Villari throne hall, surrounded by the aftermath of battle, his own glowing blue blood dripping from his arm, he knew one thing for certain. That man, the man who had just caught a Villari warrior's blade with his bare hand, was not the same Ryan Carter who had arrived on this planet. He wasn't just human anymore. And that changed everything. The aftermath of a battle. The room was eerily silent. The fighting had stopped. Every warrior, both loyalist and rebel, had turned their eyes toward him. Some in awe, some in fear, but all of them waiting. Silara took a step toward him, her violet eyes locked onto his glowing wounds. "Ryan," her voice was barely a whisper, "your body, it's not just adapting. It's becoming something else." Ryan swallowed, feeling the slight burn of energy beneath his skin. It was like his very cells were evolving, rewriting themselves. He looked at his hand, the one that had caught Vorik's sword. There was no pain, no bruising, only that faint, shimmering glow beneath his skin, like the stars had buried themselves inside him. He didn't feel weak. He felt powerful, but he also felt terrified. Before he could speak, Vorik groaned from across the hall. The traitorous prince pushed himself to his feet, blood dripping from his mouth. Even beaten, even exposed, his eyes burned with conviction. "You see," Vorik spat, glaring at the surrounding warriors. "Look at him. Look at what he's becoming. This is the future you fear. This is why I fought. To stop this abomination before it's too late." Ryan clenched his fists. "Abomination? Really? You tried to have me killed, and now you're acting like I'm the bad guy." Vorik ignored him, stepping forward and addressing the assembled nobles and warriors. "This isn't just about a forbidden bond anymore," he said, his voice commanding. "This thing standing before us isn't Villari. It isn't human. It's something new, something unnatural." A ripple of unease passed through the gathered warriors. Ryan could feel it, through the bond, through the tension in the air. They weren't sure if they should fear him or follow him. And that scared him more than anything else. A decision that changes everything. Ryan turned to Silara. She was still staring at him, not in fear, but in understanding. She wasn't just seeing what he had become. She was seeing what it meant. And she was accepting it. He took a deep breath. "This isn't about me," he said, voice steady. "This isn't about bloodlines, traditions, or purity." He gestured at the destruction around them. "This is about fear. Vorik is afraid of change, and he's willing to tear down his own empire to stop it." Vorik's jaw tightened. "I fight for my people's survival." Ryan shook his head. "No, you fight because you want control. But the Villari people don't need to be controlled." He turned to the warriors. "They need to choose." Silence. Then Silara stepped beside him. "I choose Ryan." Ryan's breath caught in his throat. Silara raised her voice, addressing her people. "Yes, he is different. Yes, he is changing. But change is not destruction. Change is growth." Her eyes flickered with fierce determination. "And I will not allow fear to decide our future." The hall erupted into voices. Some cheered. Others whispered in uncertainty. But it was clear. The tide was turning. Vorik snarled. "You would betray your own blood for this thing." Silara lifted her chin. "I am not betraying my blood. I am saving it. The final duel. Vorik exhaled slowly, then smiled. A cold, calculating smile. So be it. He drew his weapon. Ryan knew what this meant. This wasn't just about politics anymore. This wasn't just a rebellion or a coup. This was personal. The moment the blade ignited in Vorik's hands, Ryan felt his own body respond. The glow beneath his skin intensified. His pulse steadied. He didn't even hesitate as he reached out, and a weapon from the fallen warriors flew into his hand. He caught it without thinking. Gasps filled the hall. Vorik's eyes narrowed. You don't even realize what you've become, do you? Ryan met his gaze. I know enough. And then they charge. The world became motion. Ryan wasn't an expert swordsman. He wasn't trained in Villari combat. But he didn't need to be. His body moved on its own, faster than even Vorik expected. They clashed, blade to blade, sparks flying. Vorik was skilled, a warrior born and raised. But Ryan was something else entirely. He was adaptive. Every strike Vorik threw, Ryan learned from. Every feint, every maneuver, it only took seconds for his body to adjust. And then, in a single fluid motion, Ryan disarmed him. Vorik's weapon clattered to the floor. For the first time, fear entered the prince's eyes. Ryan stood over him, breathing hard, weapon in hand. He could end it, right here, right now. But instead, he tossed the weapon aside. I'm not a killer, Ryan said. That's the difference between us. Vorik clenched his fists, humiliated. But it was over. The warriors bowed to Silara. Vorik was dragged away in chains. And Ryan, he realized something in that moment. He wasn't just Villari or human anymore. He was something new. And maybe, just maybe, that wasn't a bad thing. A new future begins. Later that night, Ryan stood on the palace balcony, looking up at the Villari sky. Silara joined him. You surprised me today, she said softly. Ryan chuckled. I surprised myself. She studied him for a long moment. You are changing, Ryan. He nodded. I know. Silara hesitated. Are you afraid? Ryan thought about it. Then he smiled. No. Silara's lips curved into a rare, genuine smile. And for the first time since this all began, Ryan didn't feel lost. He felt ready. For whatever came next. The end, or perhaps a new beginning.